The MillionLords summer event is currently going on. So basically this video is just going to go over everything you need to know about this event so that you can choose what items to purchase. And yeah, let's get into it. First off, let's just start with the ways to earn shells. A very basic one is clan. You can send 15, or your clanmates can send 15 every day. And if you have 20 clanmates that are active, you can get a maximum of 300 shells per day. So you can claim them there. Then you have expeditions. In your expedition, you can send out and get a chance to get 10, 100, or 2,000 shells. Now, personally, I'm averaging between 1 and 300 shells per expedition. So it's around the same as what you get from your clan every day. Then you can pay sapphires to unlock this bundle here. And I think there's different tiers that unlock as you unlock this one, then it'll come up with another tier. I'm not 100% sure, but you can buy them here. It's a very small amount, a day's worth, pretty much, or even less. And then you get 2 skill resets and then a mighty chest and mighty jewel chest. I would not recommend buying this bundle unless you are near the end of your season and you have more expensive skill resets, because then it makes it worth it. At face value right now, if you haven't reset a ton this season, it is not worth it in my opinion. But the last way that you can earn them is through your daily harvested bonuses. So you get 600 of them. They show up every 20 seconds. You do have to be zoomed in around like this much for them to show up. You can see I just collected a troops one there. Because it takes 20 seconds for each bonus to show up, then to get the 300, then it'll take you 3 hours and 20 minutes of your screen being opened and zoomed to the right value in order to finish them. So that's a lot of screen time that you have to dedicate in order to collect them. When you do get the shell that shows up and collect it, it'll look like this, and you get 25 for each shell. I let my daily harvest bonus run up to 100 collected, and I got 5 out of it, like 5 times it showed up. So 125. So then by that account, it was at 750. Like if you multiply by 6 for 600, then I would average 750. So I'd say like the normal person can get between 700 and 800 just from the daily harvested if they complete that every day. So that's by far the best way to earn them, just so you guys know. Let's get into the actual items that are in the event shop. It's the same as it is for every event shop, just kind of the basic here, but we'll go through all of these. And what I do is I give you a value based on what I believe the item's worth. Now, sometimes this is very clear, like the sapphires, if it's 50 sapphires, it's worth 50. So what I do is I take 50, divide it by 600, because that's what the shell value is, and that gives me a value of 0.083. And so that's what it is. You want the highest value possible. Like if you're looking through all of them, if an item has a higher value, that's what you want to go for, because the 0.083 just tells you what each shell is worth when you're buying the item. So if you want to get the most value for your shells, then you want to go with the higher ratio, of course. So let's start just from the top, and we'll go through all these, and I will post the value underneath it as well as list them to you. And then I'll show like a good value table at the end and kind of give you a ranking of what I would suggest you buying. For the troops, now let's start at the top, sorry. My list is scaled already, so just from the top, the legendary item is listed at 15,000 shells. Now, I'd say that a legendary item is worth about 4,000 sapphires. It's worth less if you already have all the legendary gear or enough that it is likely you'll get a duplicate by buying this. But if you're a new player, you've played for maybe a month or two and you only have 5 or 10 legendaries, then I would say it is worth that value, maybe slightly more. So at a 4,000 sapphire valuation, the legendary equipment is a 0.27 sapphires per shell. Then the mythical equipment is what I would value at 1,500 sapphires. And this is because I think it's worth slightly more than a large chest, but not much more, because it's very likely that you'll get a mythical item out of a large chest. And if not, you'll at very least get the sky dust value, or more than that, of what you'd get for a duplicate. So that's why I'm putting it at the 1,500 sapphire valuation, and that gives it a 0.3 sapphire per shell ratio. Going on to the skill reset, then this is one that's very low, because I'm scaling this off of that someone has already reset 3 to 4 times this season, and so then they're buying it from that point, which I think is a fairly good average throughout the leagues. If it's later in the season, or you're a player that respecs your skill tree a lot, then it's worth more than this. But what I have it listed at is per the 3 to 4 skill resets already, and then you're buying this. And so that puts it at a 200 to a 250 sapphire valuation, which would be a 0.1 to 0.13 sapphires per shell, sapphires per shell value. Going on to the Watcher, we have 150 sapphire valuation. This is because when you go into the shop, then you can buy the Watcher for 30 days for 1,500 sapphires. So obviously 3 days, 1/10 of that, 150. Simple math. So at the evaluation of that, it is a 0.2 sapphire per shell value. Then the Weapon Master is at 100 sapphire valuation, because for 30 days it's 1,000, so 3 days it's worth 100. Again, simple math. Same with the Harvester, it's also worth 1,000. So for the Weapon Master, it's set at 150, which would put it at a 0.13 sapphire per shell value. And then the Harvester is at a 0.14 sapphire per shell value. So it's a bit better. I don't know why they scaled these differently, because they're worth the same, the Weapon Master and the Harvester, but I would say the Harvester is definitely better, especially for this event, and with how many daily harvest bonuses you get. The Harvester actually pays for itself. I'll get into that a little bit later. Going on to the next 6 items here, we have the Jewel Box, Chest, and Case. These are all listed at the same price, and they're the same price in shop as well. So I'm just gonna put them all together. If you buy a single one of these, it is worth 150 sapphires. If you buy it in a 10-pack, it's worth 135, so I'll give the values for both of those. At 135 sapphire valuation, it's a 0.17 sapphire per shell value, and then at 150, it's 0.19 sapphire per shell value. Going to the Speed Boost, there are 25 sapphires each, there's 10 of them, 250. So this one is a bit of a better value. It's 0.63 sapphires per shell. The sapphires themselves is worth 50 sapphires. This is, I think, the worst, or it's tied with the worst value for the shop in total. So I wouldn't recommend buying this. It's a 0.08 sapphire per shell value. The Fresh Start is also 0.08, because I'm putting this at a 200 sapphire valuation. I think you can Fresh Start multiple times and it goes up by 200, but it's very rare for that to happen. So I'm just gonna put it at the base value of what it costs. And so that puts it at also a 0.08 sapphire to shell value. Then going on to the main city change, it also costs 200 and goes up by 200 every time you do it. So this is a 0.1 sapphire per shell value. The hours of troops and gold, it's really hard to quantify what they're worth because there isn't a sapphire value in game that you can buy them for. But I will say these are probably the most valuable because you can collect them, and you can see I've actually bought these. They're the only item in shop I've bought because of how valuable they are. And they really help with a lot of different things. Just make sure to, level up your cities, try to claim as many cities, because it is based off of your base recruiter amount, just what the cities give you, just flat out. So the more cities you have, the higher level cities you have, the higher value you're going to get from this, and the gold as well. And then the expedition bag is, let's see, they changed the names for these, but expedition bag, it costs 800 because it's basically once you've done an expedition, then you can send out another one, a second one for the day. It costs 800. They list it at 1,000, so that is a 0.8 sapphire evaluation, or like sapphire per shell value, which is pretty good. Very good, actually. The teleportation amulet, it's basically when you're taking your expedition back for the day, then you can spend 50 sapphires to do it, and that's puts it at a 0.25 sapphire per shell value. But really, you can also just wait the hour. So this is ranked pretty low on the value, in my opinion. The recovery potion, it costs 500 for the first time that you recover your expedition or explorer, and it costs plus 500 every time you do it past that point. Now they have it listed at 500 exactly, so this is a 1-to-1 ratio for the first time, and then it goes up by 0.5 every time. So this is actually the best value. Now, I will say that because of the expeditions I've run, then where I'm averaging between like 1 and 300 shells every expedition, then I don't think it's really worth using this potion on your expeditions because it's likely you're not going to make the return. So maybe use it on the expeditions you normally run, or save it for next season or season after, whatever, where you're running like gear expeditions. If you're a new player, I recommend that. Or you could be running troop expeditions, although they did nerf those like semi-recently, so maybe not worth it as much, but it will give you a little bit of a boost in VP and whatnot. So let's go over what I think of these. Basically, let me just throw up like a list here of how I've ranked them personally, and I'm gonna go through like the kind of like cringy S tier, A tier, B tier thing, because I think that's a good way to classify it. It's kind of basic, but S tier is obviously going to be the troops and gold because of how versatile that is, how much it can help you. It's also a great resource for attacking because let's say you get walled, someone is now counterattacking you. You can simply make your city, change your main city to the city right next to it, collect a ton of these troops, and just reinforce the city and wall them. And you can also use it for attacking in the same manner, where you claim a city, maybe you send a small march to a jump point, change that to your main, and you can collect troops. You can also, if you want, collect your recruiter bonus then, and that'll all show up in your new main city, and attack them from there. Obviously, it's good just for boosting your VP, especially end of season, or if you need to hit higher cities around you. And it's just so versatile and helpful. So that's definitely S tier. The expedition recovery, definitely up there as well, just because of how good of a ratio it is. Basically, every shell is worth a sapphire on that, unlike the others where it takes 20 shells to earn 1 sapphire, per item, kind of. So that's definitely good. Although, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily use it for getting more shells, but that's up to you. Then the expedition bag with a 800 sapphire valuation, I'm gonna put that in S tier as well because of how good the ratio is on the sapphire to shell value. Then going down to A tier, I'm gonna put the speed boost because everyone uses speed boost. They're very valuable as a defense and attack resource and just to save you time. I like to use them to shorten my videos. And so because the ratio is so good, I'm gonna put that at A tier. And along with that, although slightly controversial because it's such a lower value at only 0.14, I'm gonna throw in the harvester at A tier too. And that's simply for what I've listed earlier. It earns more than its value. So over the 3 days, it'll earn more than what you paid for it. So it is really valuable, and I definitely would recommend if you don't have Harvester already, or if you're not subscribed to a monthly bundle, then I would suggest getting Harvester as maybe one of the first items that you buy from the shop. Going on to B tier, it's just gonna be the mythic and the legendary item. This is because you get a good value for them for the sapphire per shell value, but it's not really worth it for a lot of people because they have been playing for a while and they're likely to just get a duplicate. But if you're a relatively newer player, like I listed earlier, then these are pretty valuable items for you, and it's likely you're not going to get a duplicate if you have less than 10 of them. So I'd go ahead, spend the full 25 days that are left, maybe save up and try to get that. And I think that'll help you a lot. So now we're down to C tier. I'm gonna throw the Watcher in there. It has good value. It's not a necessary item, especially in lower leagues to have, and even in higher leagues, like Plat, Diamond, Legend. I'd say in Legend and Diamond, then it's more important, but down in Plat, you don't really need it. I have it because I have it for quite a while, so I'm not gonna buy it personally, but good value if you think you're gonna need it. Jewel boxes, chest and case, again, that's kind of lower value at 0.17 to 0.19. So I'm going to put those down in C tier as well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying them, but you can, like situationally, maybe you need 50 Stardust, or Skydust, sorry, to level up an equipment, whatever. Weapon Master, I'm gonna put down there as well. Obviously it's very important, but because of how important it is, many people have it already. So I don't think it's super useful for the average person, but if you're down in like Bronze League and you already ran out of your free Weapon Master that you get for using the forever codes that are active for I think you get 7 days Weapon Master on those, and you liked it, feel free to buy this and get the Weapon Master for another 3 days to use. So then we have Skill Reset. Again, I have it down in C tier, but realistically it could go up to A or B depending on how far you are into your season, and if you've already used a lot of skill resets, then obviously the value is gonna go up exponentially. Lastly, I'm not gonna even call these like D tier, it's just trash tier. Main City Change, Sapphires, Fresh Start, and Expedition Teleport, completely useless in my opinion, because Main City Change, you get it from the item expedition that you're running to get shells anyways. You get them pretty often. You don't really use them a ton, especially in lower leagues. Sapphires, it's just such a bad ratio, it's not worth buying, and the same thing with the Fresh Start. Then the Expedition Teleport, although a slightly better ratio, like I said earlier, you could just wait an hour instead of spending the 50 sapphires, or in this case, 400 shells, or 200 shells. So I wouldn't recommend buying that either. So, the things that I would recommend buying are obviously the S tier items, and that's what I've been buying. The Troops and Gold, Expedition Recovery, and Expedition Bag. And I'm gonna throw in the Harvester as well. Those are the 4 items that I would definitely buy. And that should use up most of the shells that you gain through this shop event. But if you have extra, then you can go into A and like B tier and kind of pick and choose what you'd want. But that's basically it. I know it stretched on for a bit longer because I was trying to like go through step by step on them just to help some people out if they're torn between what to buy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll give like my ending spiel here. Basically, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all that bullshit, but definitely join my Discord server where you can ask questions, participate in giveaways, participate in giveaways, and just hang out. It's a cool place, decent amount of members, kind of dead normally, but feel free to join. The link will be in the description of this video. And with the giveaways, then I just want to list, I have a giveaway going on almost every week of the month. So it's likely that you're going to join my Discord server and be able to enter a giveaway right away. And they're averaging between like $30 and $50 right now, but going up every month. So I would definitely check that out. And a little thing to note, you can use the code when you go to the web shop. You get better deals versus buying in game. So if you feel so obliged, then you can use code OCD, all lowercase, when you scroll to the bottom of the web shop, and it'll save you 5% on your purchases. And then what I do is I take a decent portion of everything that I earn, because I do get a little bit of kickback from that, and I pump it right back to the giveaways for you guys. So that's why I'm able to do the giveaways going constantly throughout the month for you guys, and you're able to join them in my Discord channel. So I hope to see you guys there, and hope you're having a great weekend, I guess. Bye.